Good morning, David Elementary School, and welcome to another great broadcast of TNN Tiger News Network. This morning, I have a special guest on the show. It's Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox, how you doing? Thanks for coming on the show.
Good. Yes,
you know, it's not very often I get to have guests like you on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but we're going to, I tell you what, let's go ahead and get over to some lunch, and then we'll get back with the interview with you. All right?
That'll work.
All right, let's go ahead and get right over to some lunch.
Lunch, it's time for lunch. Lunch, it's time to munch, crunch, eat a bunch. It's time for lunch, not brunch. I'm starving. Lunch, it's time for lunch. Lunch, it's time to munch, crunch, eat a bunch. It's time for lunch, not brunch. Eat some cheese, peas, broccoli.
All right, so let's go ahead and get over to some lunch. Mr. Cox is going to do some lunch for us today.
Hey, we're gonna have a steak sandwich, baked potato. It comes with cheese, lettuce, and tomato. A choice of fruit, juice, and a milk.
Wow. Mr. Cox, you either heard the lunch menu before or you have done it before.
I might have heard it.
You're pretty good.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Well, Mr. Cox, we have the reading zone today.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go ahead and get over to Miss Master with the reading zone.
Hey boys and girls, we're here for another reading zone. We're going to be doing another Christmas story, and this story, guys, is one that you may have heard before. I've heard it numerous times during my lifetime, but it's always a good thing to do something as a Christmas tradition, and that's what this is. So let's talk about our words before we get into this story. Well, actually, before we get into it, I did this lesson, this read aloud, with Miss Knight's class, so check us out. Here I am with Miss Knight's class, and they were a wonderful class. They paid attention and listened to this story, so they were fun to go read to. All right, so our words. Our first word is dread, and if you dread something, you don't want to do it. And so in Miss Knight's class, we talked about if they got a red light at school because they were having bad behavior, they dread going home and showing that to mom and dad. So if you dread something, you don't want to do it. The next word is tarnished. If something is tarnished, that means it's stained or it's dirty. And our example was a spoon. Spoons are made of silver, and silver can tarnish easily, so that means it turns a dark color and it doesn't look clean. The next word was rapid. Rapid means something is fast or quick. One thing I talked to Miss Knight's class about was that sometimes I see students in the hallway walking rapidly, or maybe not even walking rapidly, they're running rapidly, and that's something that we don't need to do. But the other day when we had a fire drill, it was imperative that every student in the school got out in a rapid pace. Not running, but fast and quickly. So rapid means you're doing it fast. Clatter. If something clatters, it makes a loud, rattling noise. One of the things that I can hear clattering in my sleep are Legos being poured out onto a hardwood floor. And I'm sure many of you have heard Legos. All of our Lego clubs, I'm sure when you pour out those Legos, you hear that noise, and that's a clatter. The last word is nestled. And this is a word that I love because when it's cold outside like it is today, I like to go home and get nestled on my couch with a warm, snug blanket and watch a Christmas movie. All right, so we're going to get into our story. Our story today is called The Night Before Christmas. And some of you fourth graders, I think you're learning this. So this is The Night Before Christmas, and it's something that you've heard. And there are 2 words in this story that were from our story last week. So if you hear a word from last week, stop me in the hall and tell me what words you heard that were in our story from last week, because there are 2 in here. All right, so 'twas the night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles in his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his sack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." And that is the end of our book, our story or poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." All right, guys, we had another great reading zone. Next week we will have one more Christmas story before we won't have another reading zone because we will be out for Christmas. All right, so I want you all to make sure that you're putting your heads down, getting your work done because it's not long and we're going to be out for Christmas. That's the end of our reading zone. See you next week.
Miss Mass, that reading zone, she's, we're right here at Christmas, and she's done a couple of reading. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
That's right.
That was a great book, Miss Mass. Thank you for
Miss Mass.
each week doing the reading zone.
Yes.
And I know she mentioned a word of, what was the word she used? Moving quickly, briskly.
Yes.
She talked a little bit about in that the book, the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. She used a word, and she talked a little bit about, we had a fire alarm the other day.
We did.
And we had to move swiftly.
Oh, absolutely.
Or whatever the word. I'm not sure if it was swiftly, but she talked a little bit about moving swiftly.
Right.
Not running, but just moving
Moving
quickly without running.
All right.
And she talked a little bit about the fire drill.
She did talk about
She did.
fire drill. Yep.
She mentioned that in the.
What we talking about, man? What we talking about, man?
All right, let's go ahead and get over Mr. Cox for the interview of what really happened during the fire drill yesterday.
Oh, man.
Mr. Cox, did it really happen?
Yeah, it did. I was hungry. Yeah, let's just go ahead and make it simple. I was hungry. Hadn't had no lunch. So tried to put some popcorn in there. Put it on 2 minutes, supposed to stand there and watch it. So it was pop, 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 pop. Then the fire alarm went off, and then we all ran out the door.
And come to find out,
And come to find out, it was my bag of popcorn that set the alarm off. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
well, Mr. Cox, they said that you could not boil water,
Well,
but I didn't know you couldn't cook popcorn, buddy.
well, at home on my stove, it just says low, medium, and high. So I thought I'd put it in between. So
I appreciate you being a
Oh,
good,
absolutely.
a good player, a good gamer right here. This joker right here, I mean, I've been having fun with him.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Cox, thanks for coming on the show today. And guys, that brings us to the end of another great broadcast of TNN Tiger News Network. And as we always say, have a great day or not.
The choice is yours.